Hey everyone, it's Autumn. Today I'm going to go ahead and do my Palette of the Week video, which I haven't done one in a while. But I'm going to be doing the Clinique Neutral Territory 2 palette. I'll go ahead and I will show you the shades. Here it is. And so right here you have Sugarcane. Oh, wrong side. So right here you have Sugarcane. And then you have, the next one is the light shade of the Diamonds and Pearls Duo. And then you have the light shade of the Neutral Territory Duo. Then you have the light shade of the Day into Date Duo. And then you have the brown shade of the Polar Blue Quad. This shade is a single and it's the shade Hazy. The next one is also a single and it is in Black Honey. And the darkest shade is the dark brown shade of the Morning Java Quad. So some of these shades come from other Clinique duos. I believe they have duos and quads, and then they have a couple of singles in here. So the only two singles, actually they have three singles, and that is Sugarcane and then Hazy and Black Honey. Those are your only singles in here. Everything else comes from a quad or something like that. The only repeat that I have in this is actually the Black Honey because I have already bought that when it first came out. I'm going to go ahead and do swatches for you since I haven't already done them. You're going to be able to see how they perform on the eyes in a moment when I go to the three looks. But I'm just going to go ahead and run through and do the swatches. So the first one is Sugarcane. And this is a pearl shade. It's considered a super shimmer by Clinique, and I think it's a shimmer, and it's also got little bitty white pearlescent glitters in it as well. The next shade is the light shade of the Diamonds and Pearls Duo, and this is, I would say, a light golden shade. You can see the swatch. The next shade is the light shade of Neutral Territory Duo, and this has more of a beige tone to it, but honestly swatched out it does not look a whole lot different from the previous shades. So this is the light shade from the Neutral Territory Duo. Hope you can see that. Now we have the light shade of the Day into Date Duo. And to me, it's a mauvey pink toned eyeshadow. It's very rose toned right here. Again, I can't tell if you can see. Okay. Then the next shade is the it is the brown shade of the Polar Blue Quad. So this is a taupey brown, I would say. It's a taupey pearl brown. So here it is right there. The next shade is in a single, and it's in the shade Hazy, and it is a bronze. I would describe it as a mauvey bronze rose shade. So there is Hazy. Next shade is Black Honey, and it is a single. You can buy this separately. And it is gorgeous. It's what I currently also have on all over my eyes right now. So here is Black Honey. It's just a reddy brown shade. And then the very last shade is the dark brown shade of Morning Java Quad. And it is a dark brown, but I would say it's almost a dark plum. I would actually consider this more of a dark plum than a dark brown, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say, because it definitely leans plum. If you would like to see these shadows being used, go ahead. I have 3 different eye looks to show you that are coming up. I'm also going to tell you right now, though, what I currently have on because I did not film what I used, but I did use the palette. So the first shade that I used in this palette was the Black Honey shade, and I just moved it pretty much all over the eyelid and brought it under, except for the very inner crease. And in the very inner crease, I used this shade right here, which is the light shade of the Neutral Territory Duo. And so I put that there. And then I used this pink shade right here, which is the light shade of the Day into Date Duo. And so I used that just to kind of blend up here. And that is everything that is on my eyes. So, and if you're curious, I'll go ahead and tell you what is on my face. On my face today, I used this Healthy Skin Glow Shears by Neutrogena. I just put this all over. It's very sheer, doesn't offer a lot of coverage, and I'm very broken out right now because of some products I've been testing. I have very sensitive skin. So to cover up the breakouts, I used my Sonia Kashuk concealer quad thing. And then on my cheeks, I used my Clinique blush in Peony. Again, this fell apart and I had to repress it. I say again, but you're going to see it in a minute. I explained the same thing. It fell apart and I had to repress it, so this is kind of what it looks like now. For my mascara, I used my Clinique Lash Building Primer along with the Maybelline Rocket Mascara. And on my eyebrows, I used the Revlon, I think it's called Brow Fantasy. Yes, it's the Revlon Brow Fantasy. This is what I used on my eyebrows. And I think that is everything that's on my face. Oh, and I also used, to kind of bronze up a little bit, I used the Body Shop bronzer. It's their light matte bronzer. And then I used my ambient lighting powder and diffused to kind of dust all over to obviously diffuse some of this out. So anyway, please keep watching if you want to see the 3 different looks that I did. I guess 4 if you count this. And then after that, I am going to go over and do a review of the palette. Okay, so to get started with look number 1, I'm going to go ahead and take this Soho brush. It's just a regular flat eyeshadow brush. And I'm just going to take that and I'm going to dip into this shade right here. It's the 3rd lightest shade. And I'm just going to dip into that and apply it all over my lid. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with the 2nd shade, and it's going to be this pinky toned shade right here, and I think actually these actually have names. This is the light shade of the Day into Night Duo, and I just also used on my lids the light shade of Neutral Territory Duo. So I'm going to take the Day into Night shade, and I'm going to work that up here in my crease. Now that I have that color down, I'm just going to take a Sonia Kashuk blending brush and blend it all together. This shade right here, and it's the brown shade from the Polar Blue Quad, I guess. And I'm going to run that under my eyes, and then I'm going to define my crease out here with it. But I'm going to do it under the eyes first to cast a shadow, because this is the perfect shade for casting a shadow. Okay, now taking that same shade, I'm going to go ahead and get in with like this crease brush, I guess is what it's called. None of these have markings on them, and I'm not smart enough to remember what they're supposed to be called. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and dip into that. And okay, so sorry, I had to kind of take a phone call while I was doing my makeup and I totally forgot. So I ran that shade under my eye right here, and then I took this brush and I started running it up into here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that on the other side and show you how I did it. So obviously I already went under with the other brush, and now I'm just going to kind of follow the lash line here and go up. Now that I have the shadows around my eyes, I'm just going to go ahead and blend it again with the Sonia Kashuk. Okay, so that is all I'm going to do for today's look. I'm going to go ahead, jump off the camera, do the rest of my makeup, and I will be back to tell you what's on my face. Okay, so I'm going to go over everything that is on my face. I'm sorry if I seem a little bit distracted today. My husband's home, and I normally never record when he is home. So for my foundation that I used today, I used a mixture of the Clinique Moisture Surge CC Cream. This is in the shade Very Light, and this is a sample that I got out of a bonus. I used this in conjunction with my Clinique sample of their Even Better foundation in a shade that's way too dark for me. This is in the shade 06. So I mixed a little bit with this to get my foundation. I then went over that since it is like a BB cream and it has more of a moisturizing, emollient, tacky feel. I went over it with the NYX Stay Matte But Not Flat powder. I've only used this a few times and I'm trying to determine whether or not I like it. So I used this. And then I went ahead and I set that using my Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray. Oh, and before that though, I used my two concealers. I used the Maybelline Dream Lumi on the inner corners of my eyes. I used this, and then I used my Revlon on any blemishes. So then I set my makeup with my Urban Decay All Nighter spray, and then I went over it with my Sonia Kashuk Cream Bronzer. It looked a little bit blotchy today. I'm not quite sure if that's because of the other things that I've used that I'm not used to using or what. And I normally actually do not bring this up onto my cheeks. I usually use my Chanel for that. But I contoured a little bit with it and then tried to bring it up onto the cheeks for a more glowy look. But I think I just look splotchy today. So I don't think that was my best idea ever. So it doesn't matter. I'm not going anywhere. But anyway, I also used my Dallas to try to cover that up, to just give a sun glow and to go up onto the cheeks. This stuff is gorgeous. It's a mixture between a blush and a bronzer. It's really, really pretty. So then for my blush today, I used the Mineral Fusion, and this is in Pale. If I can open it. There we go. Just a beautiful peachy pink, really light blush. If you kind of spread it out, it just looks really natural on the skin. It's a really pretty blush. So I used that today on my cheeks. For my highlighter today, I used a little bit of this Tarte Amazonian Clay and Angelic. This was from last year's Christmas gift sets that you could get. They had the 4 in there, and this was the highlighter. And then all over my face, I used my, where did it go? All over my face, I used my ambient lighting powder and diffuse light to kind of airbrush things out a little bit. And then I'm going to go over, okay, for my mascara today, I used MAC Zoom Lash. Here it is. It's just a little small one. This has gone forever and ever, and I'm just trying to use it up. I used about 3 coats of it, and I think it did a pretty good job on the eyes. So I'm pretty impressed with this. I mean, I always have been. I've always liked it. I just need to use it up. I have on my eyes today using 3 of the shades from this Neutral Territory palette. I used these 3 shades right here. This one, and this one. I put this one all over the lid. I used this one up into the crease as a transition color. And then I used this to kind of deepen the crease and to run it along the bottom lash line. So those are the 3 I used today. I wanted more of like a glowy, middle of the road look, so that's kind of what I got today. I didn't use any eyeliner or anything because I just wanted everything to look soft and glowy. I didn't really achieve the soft glowy skin though because I look like I've got like a weird skin disorder. But anyway, I'll fix that in the next couple videos. I'm just trying to, you know, work and perfect what I've got going on. So anyway, on my lips, the last thing I wanted to mention was my Lancome Gloss in Love lip gloss, and this is in the shade 202, and this is called Mocha Queen, I believe, and it's just a really, really nice lip gloss. So that is what is on my lips today. So first, taking the second shade in this palette, which is kind of a translucent gold. It's a very light gold. From swatching it, it went on very sheer. I am just going to pat that all over the eye to start a base, and I'm just going to put it on the lid. Since all of these shadows are shimmery, I won't be putting anything up here. Okay, now that the translucent gold shade has been packed on, I'm going to jump in and pick up the shade right here that is called Black Honey, and I'm going to start to put that into the crease and try to build it up around the outer portion of the eye. So just using the Sonia Kashuk Blend brush, I'm just going to go through and diffuse the shadow that I've now placed. Okay, so now that I have Black Honey placed down, I'm going to go in with a smaller brush, and I'm going to pick up this dark shade here, and I'm going to line my upper lash line and then also deepen the outer V. And I am just going to lightly add it in there. I'm just going in with the angle brush Just work it into the lash line to deepen it. And I'm only taking that color 2/3 of the way in. That's what it looks like lined. And now I'm going to go in on the other side and do the same thing. Just work it into the lash line. Now I'm just going to go through and blend it all together one last time just to make sure it's blended. And then I'm going to go in with this pink shade that's kind of like right in the middle to kind of blend it more, I guess. So just blending it with a clean brush right now. And now I'm going in with that pink shade. I'm going to pick that up and just move it right here. So the eyeshadow is all done. I'm going to go in, do the rest of my makeup, and then I'll be back to tell you what is on my face. Okay, so I'm back to tell you what's on my face, and I apologize, but the desk lamp is going to have to be on because it's raining and really dark outside, so I don't think you'd be able to see anything. I actually hope that you were able to see my eye tutorial because that was done in pretty dark lighting as well. But anyway, I'm just going to tell you what's on my face. Right now on my lips, I have the Dior Creme de Rose Lip Balm. On my cheeks, I have this Clinique blush in Fresh Bloom. It's their all over color in the shade 01 Peony. This is before it was like seriously all one color. It was like put into sections, but now they make it in all one color. Mine, I dropped it and broke it, so I fixed it the best I could, trying to maintain the shape, but it didn't really work out too well. But it still worked on the cheek. Still really pretty. This right here, I used a little bit, you can probably see, is the Mary Luminizer. I didn't use a whole lot. Underneath that, I used this Revlon Age-Defying Spa Face Illuminator. This is in Bare Light. They've since relaunched these, and these are under a different line in Revlon now, but it's still the Bare Light shades, exact same thing. This has been taking me forever to use it, and I use it almost every single day. I did go ahead today again and use the Sonia Kashuk cream bronzer, but I did this before I put any other powder products on my face, and it seemed to work really well to contour and to bring a little bit of color up onto my cheeks. So I did this, and then I did go over it again with the Dallas blush by Benefit. And this is like a blush or a bronzer. It's like a mixture. My foundation that I'm using today is the CoverGirl Outlast Stay Fabulous 3-in-1 foundation. I have had this for a while and I didn't really care for it, so I wasn't really using it, and so now I've picked it back up because everybody's raving about it in their yearly favorites. So I find that this works better for me if I use my Expert Face Brush. It does not work so well for me when I use a blending sponge. And also around the areas like the nose, anything that's not a flat area, it seems to get all flaky looking on me, so I have to kind of avoid those areas, and then if I need coverage, just use a concealer or something in those areas. For my concealer today, I used the Rimmel Wake Me Up concealer. On my eyelashes today, I started with the Clinique Lash Building Primer, went on top of that with MAC Zoom Lash, and then on the bottom lashes I used the Clinique Bottom Lash Mascara. And for my eyebrows, I'm using the Revlon Brow Fantasy. I used both ends, the pencil end and the gel end. And that is everything that's on my face. I will see you tomorrow with tomorrow's look. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with look number 3 from the Clinique Neutral Territory 2 palette. And I'm just going to go ahead and try to build a look around this lightest shade here. That is the only shade that I have not used yet, I believe. So, and it's called Sugar Cane. So I'm going to try to use this one and then kind of build something around it. So yes, I have no idea what I'm doing yet. Taking this detailer brush, I have just jumped into that shade called Sugar Cane, and I am dusting it on the inner corners, and I'm going to diffuse it out. Okay, so now that it's diffused out, I started it at the inner corners, and I've gone to probably 1/3 of the eye in. Now taking the shade right here called Hazy, I'm going to jump in and apply it on the lid and then kind of work it out and diffuse it out as well. So Hazy is concentrated on the outer portions and then Sugarcane on the inner portion. And now I'm just going to take this blending brush in the middle and kind of diffuse the two together. I'm now going to jump in and take the shade right here, and it is the shade next to Hazy, and it is the brown shade from the Polar Blue Quad. And I'm going to take that and kind of put that in the middle of the eye from right here, from where Hazy and the Hazy and Sugarcane mix. I'm now going to blend it some more, and then I'm going to go in with Sugarcane on top of this to kind of brighten it up, but also add that sheer lightness on top of these colors. I'm just going to pop in with this brush to add Sugarcane on top of the other colors, probably about halfway in. So that's the completed eye look. I'm going to go do the rest of my makeup, and then I'll be back to tell you what's on my face. So I'm back to go over what is on my face. Excuse the hair because I have not done that yet. But I'm just going to go ahead and tell you what I'm wearing. So for my foundation today, I mixed together my Clinique CC Cream in Very Light, which is too light, and my Gemma Kid Pro Finish Moisture Tint, which is a little too dark. And this worked awesome for me in the summer. But now that the weather is colder, I don't think I like it as much. But anyway, I set it with this NYX Stay Matte But Not Flat powder. I'm still on the fence about this. This is something that I'm still kind of playing with. For my bronzer today, I used the Body Shop bronzing powder in Light Matte. For my blush, I used my NARS in Sex Appeal. And for my highlighter, I used, let me get in here, I used my Mary Luminizer, just a little bit on the upper cheeks. I didn't do a thick layer because that stuff's pretty potent. I also dusted all over my face my Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder, like in the middle of my face, kind of under the eye area in here, and a little bit up here and on the chin as well. Okay, for concealers today, I used 3 different concealers. Okay, so for the blemishes on my face, I have a couple here, here, and here. I used the Revlon Photo Ready Stick Concealer. For under my eyes, I actually used the Dark Circle Eraser by Maybelline, the Instant Age Rewind, and I kind of dotted this in the triangle thing and patted it out. I also patted some here and along the bridge of my nose and on this part of my lip and on my chin to kind of bring the face forward a little bit. And then under the eyes for a little bit of coverage, I used my Body Shop concealer, put it on my finger, and just patted it on. I set my under eye concealer with this little Laura Mercier translucent powder. On my lips, I have this Buxom lip gloss, and this is in White Russian. This is just a little sample one that I got. Okay, so for my mascara today, I used a combination of the Clinique Lash Building Primer with the Rocket. I didn't wear any eyeliner today, and then I'll go over what is on my eyes as far as shadows. So I started out with this and kind of faded it out, and this is called Sugarcane. I then went in with this shade called Hazy and built from this side in. And then I went in with this shade that is the brown shade from the Polar Blue Quad. And I put that between Hazy and Sugarcane and then kind of diffused it and blended it out. I took Sugarcane a little bit under here, but I don't have anything under here. So that is everything that is on my eyes. And I think that is it. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and review the palette, and the first thing I want to review is just the overall packaging. So with the packaging, you see it's very sleek. It does get fingerprinted quite a bit, but that's something you can easily wipe off. On the inside, it comes with a little sponge tip applicator and a little brush. I don't find this to be 100% useless, but it's also something that I don't find myself reaching for when I have all of my other brushes here and available. I did use it for today's look, at least to place down the shade of the Black Honey. This is very good to pack on color, But I don't find, and this kind of blends out pretty well, but I don't find that this end is very good for picking up shade color to disperse it. I think this is just more along the line for a blender. As far as the colors go, I find that it kind of annoys me that every single color is shimmery. So that's the number one thing, is every single color is shimmer. Which I have matte shadows that I can accompany this with, so it's not a huge deal. But if I were traveling and I just wanted to use one palette, I might want to include others. All of the looks I used this week, I did only use this palette. But I did feel sometimes that there was a little something missing, just because I felt like I would have liked to have had a matte transition color or a matte highlight. I don't highlight with something shimmery up here, so I just kind of leave that area bare. I have this individually, and I think that this shade is actually the best shade in the palette. Another one that I really like is the one next to it, which can also be purchased individually in the shade Hazy. So I don't really find that this palette is a must, that there are any shades in here that you can't get elsewhere, because you can. It's a reasonably priced palette at $36, but I also find that all of these shades are very pink toned, and that doesn't look good on everybody, and it certainly doesn't look awful on me, but it's not the most flattering for me. I think more bronzy tones look nicer. It's nice to have a change, but I think this would look really nice on blue or green eyes, because you do have the taupes here, which look great on blue eyes, and then you have this plum and this burgundy shade of like black honey that looks great on green eyes. So I think that would really bring out those eye colors. I find that these shades down here are a little too similar. You really can't tell a difference when you swatch them or when you use them. So just a slight difference. This one's more gold and this one's just a little bit deeper. I don't know if you can even see that, but this is more gold and this is a little bit deeper. So I don't find that there's a lot of versatility in this palette. All of the shades, since they do have that same taupey, rosy undertone, I find that all the shades blend together really well. But sometimes if you were wanting to make one particular shade stand out, I find that it kind of gets lost when you start blending, because the shades are very similar. The only shade that I find to be a really good transition shade is this pink shade right here. All of the other ones are either, you know, highlighter shades. You have these three highlighter shades. And then these shades can be lid shades or crease shades, but since they all are similar, you know, it just kind of depends the look you want. I think that this really does need to be accompanied with something else. If you wanted to accompany it with another palette but keep it in the Clinique family, I'm going to go ahead and suggest picking up this right here. This is the Clinique Teddybear Quad, and mine is quite used, but here you have a matte cream, two matte browns, a darker one, and then a mid-tone, and then you have an awesome transition color right here. So if you were wanting a palette to kind of round this one out, I highly suggest getting this to go along with it, because I find that these shades will really help. Also, having a matte black shade or something to work as a liner would really be good. If you have green eyes though, this right here I think would be a wonderful liner. I've used it as a liner this week and it did look really nice, but purple liner isn't always what I'm going for. So overall, it's a really good palette, and I think it's a really good value at $36. But if you were to take into account getting this to go along with it, and I believe these are around $28, then that moves your price up to, what is it, 28 plus 36, $54. So that kind of moves you up into that area. I could be totally wrong. No, it's $64, isn't it? I don't know. I'll annotate. Anyway, trying to do head math. Anyway, if you're getting it to go alone and say you don't have any other eyeshadows in your collection and you just want to get one thing to get you through, this may not do it. You may also have to buy this to go along with it. And with that being said, you might want to go ahead and get something more along the lines of the Lorac Pro, since the Lorac Pro already offers a variety of tones and the matte and the shimmer. But if you're someone who just wants to collect because you like the quality of the new Clinique shadows, or you haven't even tried the quality of the new Clinique shadows and you kind of want to get a feel for them, it's a great value to get the feel for the Clinique shadows since it is only $36 and you do get a variety of shades. So I hope that they follow this trend that they're doing of starting this palette, and I hope that they bring in more palettes with maybe more variety or different tones. I think that would be really great. So anyway, I hope that this was helpful. Next week's palette of the week, in which I hate to call it a palette because it's kind of a quint, but I thought it would be fun to do. So next week's palette of the week, and this may not be put up next week, it may or may not be, it's going to be the Dior Rosy Glow Quint. So it's not exactly a palette, but I kind of consider anything that has more than 4, like a quad, to be a palette sometimes. Definitely anything more than 5 to be a palette. But anyway, this is what I'm going to be using next week either way. So I hope that this review was helpful, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!